Sometimes when you struggle to love yourself, it's because you feel like you're not enough. Or maybe you feel like you're not worthy of any love, attention, care, abundance. Or maybe you just don't like the way that you look, or you despise the way that you behave in certain situations sometimes. Or it could also be that you don't like the way that people treat you or talk to you because they can be really condescending, demeaning, and make you feel small and overall just not capable. So, if you struggle with self love before or you're currently experiencing it right now, I'm here to tell you that you are enough. And you can love yourself despite your flaws and despite whatever it is that your brain is trying to tell you to hate everything about yourself. So, in today's episode of A Thriving You, where it's your cozy space for all things mindset shifts, self growth, and stories that can level up your life, hopefully, let's talk about the struggles of hating yourself and how you can actually start to love yourself, like genuinely love yourself. Trust me, I've been there and it is still a work in progress. But one of the reasons why we struggle to love ourselves is probably from past experiences. And this could be from your childhood, your upbringing, the relationships that you had, the friendships that you had, or even the job that you had, the school. And especially when you feel like you've been criticized or people speak to you in a really condescending way, they make you feel small, they make you feel stupid even. And you start to feel like, am I capable of doing things? Am I not enough? Or maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm just not worthy of all these things because look at all the evidence so far in my life. People have been treating me like shit. I just don't feel worthy enough. One common example that I can give you is, let's say you were in a toxic relationship that in the first place, you didn't even realize it was a toxic relationship. Maybe that person has made you feel really small. That person has been gaslighting you. And because you experienced so much with that person, it has snowballed and affected other parts of your life. And the next time you, let's say, go to work and your boss hands you a task to do and you feel like, oh shit, this is a really hard task. I don't think I'm able to do that. You don't feel confident because of the experiences that you had with your relationship. Maybe your partner keeps saying, ugh, you can't even do the smallest things. You can't even do the simplest things. Like, you're useless. So when you're handed a task at work and your boss trusts you to finish the work, you decide to not believe in yourself and you just self-sabotage in a sense because at the back of your head, subconsciously, you think that, oh, I'm not capable, I'm useless because that's what my partner says about me. So you translate that into other parts of your life. Because of that, you don't do well in that task and you kind of, I won't say self-sabotage, like yes, but you also kind of validate it yourself. Like, see, I told you, like, I'm not able to do this. Like, I guess my partner was right. I should stay together with him because he, is telling the truth about me. And the thing is, it is just so easy to look at things one way when you are stuck and you don't see the bigger picture of it. You don't see what is currently happening. All these experiences that you had where people don't treat you with respect and you allow them to disrespect you further, it affects your self-confidence. It affects your self-esteem. You may not realize it, but again, it trickles down to other parts of your life. And overall, it just affects you as a person and you find it hard to accept yourself. And another reason could be, you have unrealistic comparisons. And I feel like in every episode I mentioned this, but living in this digital age, it's really easy to compare ourselves to other people, especially to people that you've not met before. You see random strangers online who are way younger than you and they look like they have the perfect life. They're traveling all the time, they're earning six figures and it seems so easy and their relationship seems so perfect. You see these people online where they're living a life you want, whether it is their relationship, a dream body or like a house. Their lifestyle in general is what you aspire to have. You compare their life to your life right now. It is not fair for you to compare your whole entire life to someone else's highlight reel because it just doesn't make sense. And the thing is, we know that people put out highlights on social media. They don't put out their struggles. They don't put out their dirty laundry, I mean, I know some people do, but let's not, go off the tracks. But nobody wants to show their struggles online is what I'm trying to say. So you don't know what's going on in their lives. I mean, look at how many couples that you've seen where their relationship appears so perfect online. It appears, like the dream relationship. Like, oh, I wish my relationship is like that. Or I wish that when I do get a partner, my relationship will be just as perfect as them. And they come to find out that, they've separated. So don't believe the things that you see online, because most of the time it's just a facade, or if it's not a facade, it's just a highlight of their lives. And I think we're all guilty of this, because on social media, we just want to show like the best parts of our lives, or like the positive parts of our lives, because nobody wants to see people, being a Debbie Downer or negative or like miserable all the time, right? But I'm here to tell you that don't compare your whole entire life to someone else's highlight reel, because you're just going to feel shit about yourself. You're just going to look at them and think, oh my God, like they have their shit together and here I am in my life. I feel so pathetic. I'm miserable. I hate myself. I hate myself that I cannot bring myself to achieve those things that they are currently doing right now, which is not true, because you have to look at yourself. You are capable of achieving the life that you want. And I know that we all have like different visions of how we want our life to look like. And if you have that calling inside you that you want to do something and pursue something, just do it. Because what's the point of comparing your life to the life that you're seeing right now on social media? Like it's making you feel like shit. It's making you not like yourself. And the thing that's going to make you like yourself is actually to take action and move forward, versus just doom scrolling and just criticizing yourself. Like, why do you do that to yourself? Do you hate yourself that much to not do anything about yourself? Like, if you don't like something about yourself, you have the ability to actually make a change, whether it is big or small. And I know sometimes it's easier said than done, because obviously we all have different situations in our lives. We have different circumstances that makes it harder for us to move forward, but that does not mean that it is impossible. And another thing that you feel like you struggle with self-love is that we have these societal pressures around us, whether it is your upbringing, whether it is just society as a whole, where, people expect you to, buy a house at a certain age, get married, have kids at a certain age, or, have like a certain specific type of job that you're supposed to have that will keep you stable. There's always that expectation, and there's always that pressure, especially when you feel like you don't adhere to those expectations, you don't do all those things that is so-called expected of you. You feel like a disappointment in a sense, right? Like, even though that's not for you, you can't help but feel like, I don't do all those things. Maybe I'm disappointing someone in my life. Maybe I am useless. Maybe I am supposed to do those things, but I'm not doing it. So I guess I'm just not like everybody else. Like, I'm different, and different in a sense that you feel like you start to hate yourself for not fitting into the mold of what is expected of you. And you get angry because you're like, why is it I find it so hard to not be like everybody else? Because if I was like anybody else, like I would be happier. I would love myself even more. But again, that's not true. And I think, it's so easy to think that we are supposed to follow what society expects of us, especially when the people around you are doing the things that are set by society in a sense. And, this could be really different depending on where you live, the way you're being brought up, where you're living right now. But all that is to say that all those reasons that I listed out can have impacts of struggling to love yourself. And one of it is accepting what you think you're worth, especially when it comes to career, when it comes to relationships. And I think I can use this like common example where, in relationships, when you yourself feel like you're not worthy enough, you feel like, you don't deserve the best, you accept the bare minimum. You accept the breadcrumbs when actually you deserve the whole entire fucking bakery. And I'm not saying like, oh, you deserve so much more. Like, you deserve someone who treats you like a queen, who, brings you to 5-star restaurants, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm not saying those kind of things. Well, maybe I am. But all I'm trying to say is, because you don't accept yourself, you feel like you're not deserving of the good things in life. When someone gives you the bare minimum, like texting you back, you feel like, oh, he's the one. He's the one for me because he replies to my text. He doesn't ghost me. That is the bare minimum. That is the least that he can do for you. Because when you don't respect yourself enough, you immediately grab things out of scarcity in a sense. You tend to accept things that you think you're deserving of. And if you don't accept yourself, but you accept the way that you're being treated, people are going to see that, oh, that person is fine with me treating that person like shit. I'm just going to keep on continue doing it because they feel like they can walk all over you and they feel like they can just disrespect you anytime that they want, because at the end of the day, you will still be there with them. And that is not something that you want for yourself, because you deserve respect in your life. So if you are in a relationship where, the person is condescending to you, the person is, demeaning to you, the person treats you like shit overall, and you just take it and accept it because you feel like that is the love that you deserve, you're just going to be really miserable with your life, and you're going to continue hating yourself, and you don't realize that you're doing it to yourself because you're staying in a place that makes you hate yourself more. And the only thing that you can do is to change something about the situation, whether you remove yourself from it, whether you become self-aware enough to take that first step of learning to respect yourself and have a boundary. Like, something's got to change. Again, I know it is easier said than done, but those are like some of the impacts of when you, I won't say consequences, although it does sound like consequences of like when you allow negative things like that to happen to you and you don't realize that those are the things that are impacting your self-confidence, your self-esteem in life. And when I say relationships, it's not just like romantic relationships. It could also be friendships as well. And just in general, who you surround yourself with and the environment that you're in. And this could also be in your career as well. Like, if you are in a job where you feel like you deserve more, but because the relationships that you surround yourself with say that, no, you know what, like, just be here, just be comfortable, it's fine. But you feel like you deserve way more and you're capable of it, but for some reason you feel like, you know what, maybe they're right. You can easily be influenced by other people when you don't stand your ground. And especially if you don't love yourself or accept yourself. And you feel like, oh, okay, you know what? I don't have the confidence to do things anyway, so I'm just going to stay where I am and be miserable. Don't do that, okay? Please, snap out of it. Don't do that. We literally only have one life, and I want you to live the best life that you can, because you don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow or like the next year, because so many things can happen in an instant. So take the time and effort to actually assess yourself and find out why is it that you don't feel like you accept yourself as a person. Like, why is it? Where is this self-hatred coming from? And once you start to assess yourself in a sense, you recognize your self-worth and you don't tie it to anything, because you are valuable just as you are. And I say this because sometimes we tie our identities to external things without even realizing. For me, I tie my identity sometimes with how much I earn and how I look. And if those two things are not doing right in my life, I hate myself. Like, I genuinely, I would really hate myself to a point where I would say things that I wouldn't say to anyone, really, not even to a stranger, let alone to a friend. But the funny thing is, I would say those shitty things to myself. And also, here's another thing, which is, we gotta change how we talk to ourselves. The way that you talk to yourself is so important, because what you say to yourself, even though it is just in a spur of a moment, but if you keep saying it, it becomes a habit. And when it becomes a habit, you start to believe in it. And I think that's why daily affirmations is so important. As cheesy as it sounds, like, you might hate this, and trust me, I remember thinking, putting I am affirmations, like, I am strong, I am beautiful, like, shut the fuck up. That is so cheesy, and that's never gonna happen. And I think the reason we feel that way is because, one, it's something that you feel like you don't believe in yourself enough, because it sounds so cheesy. If you were to do daily affirmations, really think about the affirmations that speak to you. For me, one of it is, I am so lucky everything works out for me. That doesn't feel cringe. That doesn't feel cheesy. That actually feels good to me. I feel like I can say it out loud and it doesn't make me feel like, no, that's not true. Like, say things that deep down is something that you really believe in. And let's say you kind of believe it, but not really. Part of you doesn't believe it because you've not achieved it yet. But part of you wants to believe that is true because it's what you want. So if it's something that you believe in, but you feel like, oh, that could never be me, that is your affirmation. Because if you keep repeating those things to yourself, subconsciously it is stored in your mind, and you start to take actions that will match with whatever you keep telling yourself. And I know that's probably like a scientific evidence to it, some research to it, but I don't have it with me right now. But I'm pretty sure there's something to do with like, neuroscience. Even if it does not, it genuinely helps, because there are times where I feel like I am not capable to do certain things. I have to like murmur or like remind myself, like, okay, no, like stop this. Stop thinking negatively. Like, you got this. You've done things before that are hard. I'm capable of doing hard things. And if I keep repeating myself those things, it's almost like an affirmation as well. Like, it makes it easier to overcome challenges in life. And when you do hard things in life that you feel like you couldn't do in the first place, you gain confidence. And what happens when you gain confidence? You start to like yourself. God forbid you start to love yourself. So keep doing things that makes you doubt yourself. Like, you feel like, oh, I'm not capable of doing this. And even if you do those things and you don't like quote unquote achieve it, or it wasn't perfect or how it's supposed to turn out that you expect it to be, like, it's okay. The fact that you actually took the step to actually do something different in your life, that's something that you should be proud of, and it should add on to your self-confidence points. It should add, okay, that's 1 point for my self-confidence. Like, okay, even though like it didn't turn out the way that I expected, I still did it anyway. So 1 point for me. It's better to do something than not to do anything at all, because if you don't do something, you're just gonna be stagnant. You're gonna be stuck because you're still gonna be the same person and nothing has changed. I almost forgot to mention this, but setting boundaries is another way to start loving yourself. Now, I don't know about you, but I am a recovering people pleaser, and I used to say yes on everything. I used to say yes even when my plate is full. I used to say yes even I know that I don't know how to do it, or I don't think I can do it. I just say yes, 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 because I don't want to leave people helpless. Even though when I say yes, yes, yes to things and I accept things, I'm left helpless because I know that I can't do it all by my own. The moment you set boundaries, you actually show people how to respect you in a sense. You show people how to treat you, because if you allow certain things to happen in your life where you don't accept it, where you feel like that's so disrespectful or that is crossing my boundary, and you feel angry, the moment you feel angry is when you know you need to set a boundary. And trust me, I've been there before where, you set a boundary, people cross it, you're like, okay, let's just give them a warning. Okay, let's just tell them, acknowledge them, like, hey, this doesn't feel comfortable. Let's, do this, do that. And I've been in situations where it is just hard, especially when it concerns people that you care about and they don't understand your boundaries. And that is definitely a work in progress. I'm not here to tell you like, oh, you'll be fine. Like, it's so easy. Like, it is not. Like, I'm a recovering people pleaser, so I know how it feels like to say no to someone. Like, you cringe a bit because you're like, oh, like, I feel guilty. What would that people think? Like, people would think I'm selfish. Like, so what? So what if you're selfish to their eyes? You're doing something for yourself. You're setting a boundary for yourself, because if you don't do that, you're just gonna hate yourself. Which is the point of this whole episode, where you learn not to hate yourself. Like, if you want to love yourself, please set boundaries, because boundaries help. It really does. And again, I know it's easier said than done, and setting boundaries can be really tough, but with practice, and I mean a lot of practice and resilience, you will get there. And maybe this could be an episode in itself where I talk about people pleasing, because I realized that I've been people pleasing my whole entire life. And there are phases in my life where I people please way too much. And then I fall into deep into something for years and realize like, I don't want to do this anymore. And the moment I set a boundary is when you have to expect people to be angry at you. You have to expect people to not be in your lives anymore, because they are not used to you having boundaries. So the moment when you set your boundaries, people around you will realize like, oh, since when? Like, you've, like, this is so not you. Like, have you changed? And it's almost like you take people by surprise because you've said nothing all this while and you allow people to treat you the way that you're being treated right now. And finally, when you stand up for yourself, people think that you're a changed person when actually you've just not been communicating your boundaries. And yeah, that's another episode that we can definitely dive deep into. But I hope you had some takeaways from this episode and maybe you can resonate and let me know, how do you deal with the struggles of not loving yourself at this point in time? I've been there, so I'm pretty sure many people have been there as well. But I would love to hear from your side and maybe we can chat in the comments. So if you enjoy this type of content, please subscribe to join the community or like this video. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a positive rating because it helps to bring this content to people that might need it. And that is all for today. So if you made it this far, maybe leave me like a taco emoji in the comment section so I know that you've actually, watched this full entire episode. And just remember, loving yourself takes time and effort, but it's the best investment you'll ever make. So just remember that you're enough, you are worthy, and I believe in you. Even if no one says that to you, I'm here to tell you right now that I believe in you and you're capable of achieving whatever it is that you want to pursue in life. So until then, I'll see you in my next episode. Bye.